Welcome back to Money Moves University. Once again, I'm James Jackson III, founder of Money Moves University. I want to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself when you answer it. Do you have a credit card balance right now that you have been meaning to pay off, but somehow keep staying there? A balance you look at every month and tell yourself you will handle it when things settle down. I was that person. For well over a decade, I was that person. And it cost me in interest, in credit score damage, and the quiet stress of knowing the number was there. It cost me more than I want to say out loud. Today, I'm going to tell you the whole story. How I got introduced to credit cards the wrong way. The behavior it built in me. How long it took to break it. And what I do now. Because now, a credit card is one of the most powerful financial tools I own. The same instrument that trapped me for years is now paying for trips I take with my family. The difference is not the card. It is what I know about how to use it. When I was in college, credit card companies were allowed on campuses. They would just set up tables, just like any other student organization. And they would sign you up for a credit card right there. The pinch was simple. Fill out an application, get a free t-shirt, maybe a snack. And a few weeks later, a credit card will show up in your mailbox. I am the poster child of why credit card companies are not allowed on campuses anymore. I want you to sit with that for a second. An 18 or 19-year-old kid, no financial education, no understanding of interest rates or credit card utilization, or anything that we talked about in the previous episode, handed a credit card in exchange for a t-shirt. That was not a financial product being offered. That was a customer being recruited. Then, spring break came. I wanted to go, but I did not have the money saved, but I had the card. So I used it. Flights, the drive, gas, hotel, everything. And I told myself I would just pay it off when I get back. But I did not pay it off when I got back. And that was the beginning of a thought pattern that followed me for well over a decade. I will just pay it off later. I will handle it next month. Things will settle down soon. The balances grew. New cards came. Because once you have one credit card and you have used it, you start getting offers for more. I used those too. Maxed them out. Then money got tight and I started missing payments. And we talked about what missed payments do to your credit score. That is exactly what happened. The average American carrying a credit card debt balance pays over $1,000 of interest every single year. That is money that goes directly to the card issuer, not towards your balance, not towards your goals, not into any of your 4 buckets that we talked about in episode 3. Interest is the cost of using money that is not yours. Most people have been paying for so long it feels normal. For me, it was not $1,000 a year. Over the course of the cycle, it was thousands paid in interest on purchases made years before for things I probably can't even remember buying. That is what a credit card trap actually costs. Not just money, time, years of financial momentum redirected to somebody else's bottom line. Getting out of that cycle was not one big dramatic moment. It was a slow turn, a decision to stop using the cards the way I had been using them, to pay them down, to learn how they actually work, not just the surface level, but the mechanics. It took a while. Like I said, well over a decade, 12, 15 years of this experience, from the pattern started to when I finally got out of it. And when I say got out of it, I mean I paid off the balances. I stopped carrying revolving debt and I rebuilt my credit score, which you heard about in the previous episode. And then I learned the other side of credit cards, the side that the t-shirt table never told me about. Not long ago, I flew to watch my daughter play soccer at her college. The flight, the rental car, the hotel, nearly the entire trip was covered by the reward points I had accumulated on my credit card. The same financial instrument that once buried me in debt, that once followed me around like a shadow, paid for a trip to watch my daughter compete at the college level. I also have a credit card linked to my Amazon account. I almost never pay for what I order. The rewards cover it. That is not luck. That is the result of learning how the tool works and using it correctly. The credit card did not change. I changed. Before we talk about how to use a credit card correctly, you need to understand how it works when you get it wrong. Because the math is not what most people think. When you carry a balance, meaning you do not pay your full statement balance by the due date, the card issuer charges you interest on what remains. That is called the APR, annual percentage rate. The average card APR right now is around 21 to 22%. Some store cards and subprime cards run 28 to 30%. That interest is calculated daily on your outstanding balance. A $3,000 balance at 22% APR costs you roughly $666 per year, or $55 per month just to keep the balance where it is, before you're charged anything new. The grace period window is between the statement closing date and your payment due date, typically 21 to 25 days. If you pay your full statement balance within that window, you pay zero interest. The card company earns nothing from you. That is exactly where you want to be. Now, here is the minimum payment trap, because this is the one that keeps people stuck. Your card will show you a minimum payment each month. It is usually somewhere between 1 and 3% of your balance, or flat minimum, often around $25 or $35. It feels manageable, feels like you're handling it, but you're not handling it. You are feeding it. On a $3,000 balance at 22% APR, paying only the minimum payment each month means it takes over 14 years to pay off that balance. And you pay more than $2,000 in interest on top of the original $3,000. You borrow $3,000, you pay back over $5,000 for the same $3,000. That is the trap, and it is designed that way. So, here are 5 rules that I live by right now. These are not complicated, but they require behavior that most people have never been taught. Rule 1, pay the full statement balance every month. Now, never just a minimum. This is the only rule that matters if you remember nothing else. If you pay your full balance before the due date, you pay zero interest. Zero. The card works for you. The moment you start carrying a balance, it starts working against you. Rule 2, only charge what you have in your checking account right now. Treat your credit card like a debit card with rewards. If you would not buy it with cash today, do not put it on the card. The rewards are only real if you're not paying interest to earn them. A 2% cashback reward on a balance you carry at 22% APR is not a reward. It is a discount on a very expensive loan. Rule 3, keep your utilization below 30% on every card. This connects directly back to the previous episode. Utilization is 30% of your credit score. Carrying a high balance hurts your score, even if you're paying the minimum on time. Pay down balances. Keep the card active with small purchases. Let the available credit work for you, not against you. Rule 4, set up auto pay for the full statement balance, not the minimum, the full statement balance. This prevents you from ever accidentally missing a payment or forgetting to pay in full. The auto pay is your safety net. Then you check in manually once a month to review your charges, but the discipline is built into the system. And then last rule, rule 5, match the card to your actual lifestyle. There are hundreds of credit cards designed for different spending patterns. If you travel frequently, a travel rewards card with airline miles and hotel points makes sense. If you do not travel, those miles will expire before you use them. If you spend the most at grocery stores, a card with high grocery cash back earns you more than a general rewards card. Know your spending, then pick the card that rewards it. My credit card is linked to my Amazon account. Every time I order something, the rewards pay for it. I travel enough that my travel card earns real miles on real flights. I did not pick those cards randomly. I pick them because they match how I actually live and spend. The right card for someone else might completely be wrong for you. Know your lifestyle. Then find the card that rewards it. And one more thing before we close. And this one is for the person who does not have a credit card or who has been avoiding them because of everything we just talked about. Used correctly, a credit card is the fastest, legitimate way to build credit from scratch. Your payment history, your credit card utilization, which together makes up 65% of your FICO score. Both require open, active accounts to improve. Paying cash for everything leaves no trail. A credit card paid in full every month creates exactly the payment history that raises your score. If you have no credit or limited credit, start with a secured credit card. You put down a deposit, usually $200 to $500, and that becomes your credit limit. Use it for 1 or 2 regular purchases each month. Gas, groceries, a streaming subscription. Pay it off in full before the due date, every month. After 6 to 12 months of that behavior, you have a credit history, a payment record, and likely a score that qualifies you for an unsecured card with actual rewards. The credit card is not the enemy. The behavior around it is. Fix the behavior and the card becomes one of your best financial allies. That is credit cards, tool or trap. And the answer is, it is entirely up to you how you use it. So here's your action step for this week. Pull your credit card statements. Add up the interest you paid in the last 12 months. Write that number down. Then decide whether the card is working for you or against you. If you are carrying a balance, your next move is to attack it, starting with the card with the highest interest rate. If you're paying in full every month and not thinking about your rewards, it's time to find a card that actually matches your lifestyle. And if your credit card is still a sore subject, if you are in the cycle I was in for over a decade, know that it is a behavior, not a character flaw. Behaviors change. That is the whole point of this show. So share today's episode with someone who needs to hear the other side of the story, the one where the card becomes a tool and not a trap. And if your organization is looking for financial education that covers all of this in a structured, facilitator-led curriculum, visit moneymovesuniversity.com. And then next time on Money Moves University, we're going to talk about auto financing, how to buy a car without getting played. We have talked about the score and the card. Now we're going to talk about one of the biggest financial decisions most people make without any preparation, and one of the most expensive when you get it wrong. I'm James Jackson III. The trip to watch my daughter play, worth every point it took to get there. That is what financial discipline looks like when it pays off. Keep building, keep moving, and I'll see you in the next episode.